Hello and welcome to Clockwork Noodles. We're back in the noodle bowl with another episode of the Aquatope on White Sands, episode 11. Perhaps one of the probably most intense episodes so far, and an amazing episode, especially for a slice of life, you gotta admit. I'm sorry this was a bit delayed. Let me show you what I was doing. Look at my hair, guys. I am channeling my inner Aquatope on White Sands. I am in love right now with my hair. Absolutely love it to pieces. And of course, I've been doing a lot of underwater photography too. Don't normally share with you guys what I've been up to, but because this video was a little delayed and I didn't mention it, I thought I would show this to you guys and hope for the best. Thank you. Take mercy on me. Thank you. But we are back. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. There is the next season schedule video is out. The top 3 of this season is now out as well. I've been a very busy person and I've managed to get that down for you. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that. Take a little peek if you haven't looked already. Already up. Already crowned my top anime of the season. Go see what that was. Did Aquatope get any mentions, I wonder? Is it on that list, perhaps? There's also a Discord channel too that will allow you to keep up with delays. I did technically apologise on there, so I covered my back, guys. Covered my back. Let's go into the episode, which was absolutely amazing, but also quite sad because it kind of hammered home the truth of what was going to happen. We have a very stormy start and a stormy episode. I think I'm going to borrow Virgil's famous saying, I am the storm, and say we're going to weather the storm together. So Cuckoo finally takes her drastic action. I did predict she would take some form of drastic action, just didn't think it would be this, ending up barricading herself in. And it's just perfect timing because of what's about to hit the coast as well. So nice bit of timing, timed up with this nice typhoon arriving. But we do get Gramps' little flashback of him saying that the aquarium would close if it was too old to maintain. So at some point, Gramps did actually talk to her about it, but I guess he just didn't quite go into enough details to make her understand. But I do want to know who the friend was. He does say that he made a promise to a friend. Who is the friend? Was it Cuckoo's family, perhaps? Maybe? But it was an inevitable end. The anime didn't actually hide anything from us, but it didn't make this any more easier. And seeing Cuckoo finally really get into the grips, finally accepting what was going to happen this week. I think this is the big episode where we finally accept things as they are. The storm is a perfect setting just to set it alongside what's going on. A metaphor in the sense of things being turbulent, and eventually we see those blue skies at the end. But at this point, you can imagine that her emotions, Cuckoo's emotions, are just turbulent right now. They're going up and down, and it must feel like the storm is never going to end. The tone this week feels even more hopeless than last week. We had quite a sad tone last week. This week is even more hopeless before the end as well. Obviously, things shift at the end, but it still feels very hopeless at times. The great lighting on Cuckoo as well. I am a big sucker for lighting. I think it's absolutely gorgeous this week. And to seeing her just kind of hugging her legs and not really knowing what to do. It's quite a closed position as well with the position she's holding. We get to follow Cuckoo's day at the aquarium as she is all on her own. I like the fact that Gramps doesn't really get angry. He just kind of lets her be, leaves her be, because I believe he understood what was going to happen, because obviously he does eventually know there's going to be a typhoon, and he doesn't rush to her aid or anything immediately. So I predicted that there was a motive, which we'll talk about a little bit later because I think it comes out a bit later on as well. There's a reason why Gramps just leaves this to be. The typhoon is, again, perfect timing with the low point for Cuckoo. It's very, very symbolic. But we do get to see the deity. We haven't seen the deity very often. They appear here and there and then they disappear again. But we see them chilling on the roof with the oncoming storm coming our way. To be fair, if you're a deity, I guess storms aren't really a bother to you. The big question this week was, could Cuckoo weather the storm? Could her heart even take the oncoming storm that is coming her way? The episode this week as well, for a big part of this episode, there's a lot more montages. There's a lot less lines than normal, which I think is great because you don't really need lines to convey what you're going for. And this week's episode conveys a very nice mood, a very nice atmosphere that you can really pick up just by even looking at the artwork. And I think this anime has excelled all the way through this, at least first half, with its artwork, with its mood, with its carrying a tone. It's very, very good at doing that. One of the better slice of lives for doing that, and I'm a big slice of life fan, and there's a few animes which immediately come to mind for carrying tone and perfect like this as well. We also see as well the deity is not visible to anybody else. So Fuka does stare in their direction. She doesn't react. We also see them running alongside her as she heads to the aquarium. But he also looks very, very happy. Perhaps it's also a subtle foreshadowing that things are going to be okay. You know, storms don't last forever, that they pass. Eventually the blue sky comes. Cuckoo also needs to realise that she's not alone. But at the same time, she wasn't really alone. She was surrounded by the animals, and the animals are really all that really matters. And that's something that we see at the end of this episode as well. The animals really are top priority. So let's present the most amazing hair this entire season. The award goes to Fuka in this storm. I laughed. I know this is supposed to be a very beautiful moment. I could not stop laughing because of her hair. My hair would do the same thing. It would be in my face. I would be eating it. It would be everywhere. I adored this moment. This moment was just fantastic. It was perfect. But Fuka joining our lock-in. Now, Cuckoo's I Never Asked ends up in my head being met with the whole, you don't need to. And this is what this entire point with Fuka just doing things means. You don't need to ask. Sometimes people will just do it. Fuku is there. She doesn't need to be asked. She will do it because she wants to. And that is what Cuckoo needs to really see, is people around her don't often need asking. They will do it because they care for her. She is not alone. So despite how short she is, and she's pretty rude this episode as well because she's upset, Fuka still doesn't bother her. She doesn't react. She just goes, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to continue to work. I'm not going to react. I'm going to keep helping you because I understand that you're upset. And that is also big kudos to Fuka for dealing with it maturely, going, okay, you're upset. I'm going to continue to work. You take your time. You do you. And again, we see that finally coming circle at the end as well when Cuckoo does actually apologise. Fuka really does get a lot of kudos from me for dealing with it. Now, Japan during typhoons, something that we know that happens yearly. This is a country which is they're in the zone for like faults, and they're on a fault line, and they do suffer a lot of natural disasters. Me being in the UK, typhoons are a bit more of a rarer occurrence. For me, this is entirely scary, the prospect of these typhoons. But to Japan, these are people who have to weather it. They weather it yearly, even as I say, we deal with it every single year. Which is very interesting to see the precautions, the way that the people are just very calmly dealing with everything. Everyone just goes, oh, your boat's still out, let's go and grab it quickly. People are just readying themselves, and it's, in a sense, a normality for them. Dealing with typhoons, dealing with earthquakes is a normality, which is a very, very nice, unique little look into this. But we do finally get another amazing heart-to-heart. We are 3 days from closing, and my prediction of us probably hitting halfway point, episode 12, will be at the actual close itself. I think it's going to close at 12, which means we've got 12 episodes because we've got 24 in total. We've got 12 episodes to somehow come to a happy ending. And I'm starting to get my predictions. I guess maybe I should share a few with you. I do believe at some point Fuka may go back to idling, being an idol. I hope so. That is probably perhaps my own little wish. I do think it might happen. But I think she might find a way of incorporating it to help Fuka and the aquarium. Perhaps. Let's just put a little note for that on there. I believe that Cuckoo may also maybe help out at the new aquarium, perhaps. That's just a big maybe. These are some little tiny predictions. They may not come true. But I do believe that we will have a satisfying ending. It's just how it's going to end. I was a little irritated. I will admit I was a bit irritated by Cuckoo slamming poor Fuka about her going to be an idol and, you're leaving, you're giving up, you're going, blah, blah, blah. Because obviously, you guys know that I am a big fan on her trying to reclaim a dream, because Fuka may have lost her dream, but she can't give up on her future. And if there is a way for her to somehow get back to half doing what she at least wanted to do at some point, I want her to take it. As well, Cuckoo should be at this point being supportive, but again, she is upset, so we have to take that in mind. I did like the fact that the backup generator hit as soon as I said, ooh, the power's out. I wonder if they've got a backup generator. It did. They do have a backup generator. Now, this next section is something that is truly fascinating to me. If you guys don't remember, I do work with tanks of my own. I have 8 bays of fish that I deal with myself as well. That's what I do with my job. So a lot of this stuff is stuff that I am very happy to see, because it's stuff that I would have to deal with in that situation. Our situation is a little bit worse because the fish that I deal with live in slightly more hotter climates. I have to say they get very lucky that a lot of the species they're dealing with here need it maintained at about 25, or they need it slightly colder. So they're quite lucky in that sense. The fact that their filters are still working, you don't really need lights. I always tell people as well that you don't really need a light in a tank. It's not sunny 24/7. The oceans are in darkness the same amount of time as all of us. It's very nice to see the fact that she just say, well, the lights are out, but the filter's working. As long as the filter is working, that is it. And I can't emphasize enough how important having a filter in a tank is. Fish do as well go into this low power mode. I'm going to keep mentioning low power mode with fish. Fish don't really sleep, but they do go into this low power mode when it gets to nighttime, where they will keep their eyes open, almost float lifelessly, not really moving if they don't need to. That is a low power mode. They're not really asleep, but we would consider it sleeping compared to their daily activity levels. This is when I started to predict that Gramps knew that the building wouldn't last, and he knew that the typhoon coming would probably help Cuckoo see it. So the reason why I think he didn't get upset and he left Cuckoo to do it and left Cuckoo where she was he wanted her to see the decrepit old building as it was. He wanted her to see for herself the building cannot sustain the life and the animals in there for much longer. He wanted her to realise it's old, so he needed her to experience it and finally come to her own understanding. It's the right thing to do. We have to shut things down. That's also why I think he's also so calm during the typhoon. He doesn't panic or anything. I think they only arrive right at the end when the power's been out almost long enough for it to be a danger. He's not too worried at the start because obviously they deal with it yearly, so he knew the aquarium would be okay. But he wants Cuckoo to realise the damage. He wants her to see the roof leaking. The building, in a sense, needs repairs, which also needs money. It's something that they don't have. Cuckoo needed to start thinking what is best for the animals, not what's best for you. You don't want to go anywhere, that's fine, but what is really best for the animals, because they are the ones who live in those environments. They're the ones who will suffer if things don't improve. I also like the different aspect of the aquarium struggle when the lights do go out. You could wipe out all of your life and your marine life in simply half an hour if those filters cut. And it's quite sad because, in a sense, with some of these fish, again, it will be shock to the system because the temperature will suddenly plummet. Fish don't really deal with the temperature fluctuation very well. In the sense where we see them suddenly putting ice in a bit later on with the tanks, it's because they essentially want to maintain a temperature. So it means that it's probably warm. So I'm guessing during typhoon season, it's still humid. So they're trying to keep the temperature from creeping. Whereas if you suddenly dump a tropical fish into a pond, it will die because of the temperature fluctuation. It causes shock on the system. Another big thing they could also run into a risk of, it would be a buildup of ammonia. So when your filter shuts down, suddenly all of the ammonia, all that bad stuff that you're trying to filter in the tanks, the filter itself, ends up being slowly filtering back into the tank, which could cause poisoning. It's a very unlikely thing to happen, but it's still a risk they would run if those tanks remained offline for too long. So it's something I was really excited to see in person because it's something that I don't consider it often because I've never really had power outages in my own experience, but it's something really realistic that you need to actually consider would happen, that you probably would have all those animals get wiped out. They would just die. Imagine Japan is probably more adept to dealing with this kind of thing because they have it so much. So most of these places do probably have backup generators that last a bit longer than 7 hours. It's very interesting to see those preparations, those precautions already in action. The call to save the most critical to the temperature change was, again, the best call. There are some species that would probably deal very, very badly with the plummeting temperatures suddenly, so you need to maintain the temperature where it is. So that is a very good call. That would be all of your things like your jellyfish. I think they do mention the jellyfish at one point. Not so good with fluctuating temperatures. They can suddenly also turn themselves inside out if the ammonia started to filter weight back into the water again. Most fish do actually come into stores or come in travelling wise without filters, or in a sense that they come in often with a temperature being maintained but not quite as high as it should. So seeing them suddenly as well putting these fish into these temperature tanks, moving them across kind of thing, wasn't too much of a strange thing for me, but it might be strange to some people who don't quite understand fish life. Seeing them just trying to move them into a temperate tank. At this point as well, putting them into a temperate tank, you raise the chances of your fish surviving. I'm very happy that they included that into the anime as well. It's a very big heartbreak episode though. We finally get into the scene that really does probably break everybody, is Cuckoo being forced to see the ageing building at its most critical. The music, the voice actor, all creating a very sad emotional breakdown as Cuckoo's dream really does start to crumble around her, literally. Things go from bad to worse as we start seeing things break, and the strings at this point in the music is beautiful. The music this episode was absolutely fantastic, but it all carries the desperation. She starts to see things getting worse and worse. The cello is my favourite instrument, hearing that in there as well. But we do eventually get the music shifting as help starts to arrive. We finally get that uplift in the music as we see the team working together. So Gramps kind of arrives when things start to look a bit more dire. So he probably knew that there was 7 hours on the clock if the power doesn't come back on. He knew eventually when he'd need to step in, and he steps in when he needs to step in. We are also very lucky that most of the species that they're dealing with don't need too much heat because of how humid it probably is anyway. They would probably be okay with maintaining that 25 degrees that most need, and a lot of their colder species absolutely fine. The cold species would not be a big concern with them at this point in time. It's just they're very lucky they didn't need anything at like 28, 29, because that would have been harder to maintain. Music this week is absolutely top notch. Absolutely love it to pieces. It's a great use during our montage again when we don't really need words. It's just fantastic. We get to see them trying to weather the storm and protect the fish, and also believing in the wildlife. You've got to believe in the animals that you're protecting. Probably where Cuckoo finally has her realization. She realizes the hard way. It's not really for her. We're not closing down to spite her or anything. We are closing down because it's best for the animals. It's not fair on the animals to have them in this kind of situation where they're not in up-to-date tanks, or they're not in tanks which may be able to maintain them. They could be wiped out at a moment's notice. A fantastic moment where we see her thanking everybody. We see Cuckoo becoming the mother to the animals, where he does say, thank you for looking after the children. When he says that, he means the animals. I also reference my pets as my children too. I have rat children. My rat children are amazing to me. I love them to pieces. I guess I do consider myself a rat mum. I like the fact as well that Cuckoo does portray motherhood in a different way here. So I did say with the first half of the anime, we've got this ongoing theme of motherhood. And we're seeing Cuckoo now as a mother to animals. Cuckoo finally accepts what's going to happen. She finally has this beautiful moment where she accepts things. She understands that we need to close down. It's for the best. It has to happen. Both Fuka and Cuckoo also have their learning moments. We have a very nice heart-to-heart once more. Characters have grown, and it really is just a fantastic moment. Very interested to see where we're going, because we've still got a fair chunk of episodes to go. Even if it closes down, it means the story's not done. The story isn't over once the aquarium closes down. Something else has got to happen. And I do, like I told you with my little predictions, feel like there might be some leeway in what I've said. There might be some potential there for a plot, or maybe they're going to go down those routes. So I'm very excited to see where we go. I hope you guys too are having a good day and you are weathering whatever storm is challenging you. I will see you guys again soon. Make sure you check out my video to see what's going on next season. A very good season coming our way, guys. I am very hyped. There's a lot coming your way. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.